Hello everyone! Thank you guys for deciding to watch this video. And in this video, I want to talk about something that's been on the rumor mill for quite some time now, and that is Sony making a new handheld. Now, my thoughts on this are pretty mixed because Sony has released a PlayStation Portal, and I know it's a bit of a controversial piece of tech, but initially, I was skeptical about it, and since it came out, I have used it. For transparency's sake, I initially was actually really turned off about the idea. I thought that a streaming device was just stupid. It was really hard to come by when it first came out, and just on a whim, I saw it on my local Target, and I said, you know what? I'll give it a try. If I don't like it, I can always return it. No harm, no foul. But since I have had it, it's great. It's really good. It's a great way to play PS5 games on a handheld device. Mind you, it's quite limited in what it can do because it's streaming the game. So you do have to be connected to Wi-Fi. At first it was really rough because you could only really be connected to home Wi-Fi, and you had to have a pretty decent connection. You were not able to use public Wi-Fi. Since then, they have updated it, and you can use public Wi-Fi. You can even use your hotspot on your cell phone, but it is hit or miss sometimes. I'm not going to say 100% of the time it works 100% of the time. There are times where it's a little wonky, and I do have to restart it or log out and log back. It's got its issues, but I want to say a good portion of the time I've had it, it's worked flawlessly. So much so that there's some games I've played almost exclusively on it. I've done trophy cleanup on it. It works, right? And after I've had it for a while, I've thought, this is a good solution to their handheld problem, considering that they don't have one. But its appeal is incredibly limited because, one, you have to have a PS5, and two, it's essentially a add-on, or it is something that complements the PS5. So its install base, it's going to be pretty niche, right? It's probably only going to sell a couple million units. And that's probably what it's made to do. It's not really made to drive people into the PlayStation ecosystem. It's there for people who already exist in it. Now, these rumors are circulating, and they have been for a while, about Sony making a brand new handheld device, essentially on par with the PS4 or a little stronger or better than that. And why am I mixed on this? Well, there's a couple of reasons. First of all, Japan Studio no longer exists. Second of all, I don't know how Sony is going to leverage first-party support with this. Third of all, the Vita. I'm a big Vita fan. I love the Vita. I have 3 of those things. I think actually maybe 4. I think it's a great handheld. I think it was off to a good start, but it just had, that's questionable considering it's a proprietary memory stick that was super expensive, the whole cellular issue with it. It was off to actually quite a rocky start. But it did have some really great games. But support started to dwindle, and Sony just kind of left it in the dust until the indie scene and niche JRPGs really found a home on the device. But it didn't last long. It was essentially a failure in Sony's eyes. I think it only shipped close to 16 million units after everything was said and done, and that is from the 84 to 85 million units that the PSP shipped. So a pretty big jump, right? And towards the tail end of the Vita, Sony was focusing big on their home consoles. I mean, they were focusing big on first-party support, and first-party games were taken off. We had Uncharted doing incredibly well, Infamous doing incredibly well, God of War doing incredibly well, new IP like Horizon, Ghost of Tsushima, so on and so forth, right? So, and then with Japan Studios being closed down or kind of retooled into Team Asobi, those niche games that kind of, or those titles that that were on the Vita that Sony released first party were lacking. So if Sony were to make a dedicated handheld device today, there's some concerns. How is it going to be supported first party wise with how Sony operates now, right? Can their first party teams actually develop unique exclusive software to it? Is it going to be an instance where you're only going to get essentially hindered or toned down PS5 versions of games? Will it have physical software? That's super important to me for game preservation's sake, and for someone who prefers physical media. Is it going to be able to accept a UMD if they go that route again, or a cartridge, or disc-based somehow, right? Like, is it going to be able to do that? And those are the things that I think about, right? Is it going to be something more akin to like a Steam Deck, where it's still kind of complementary and not necessarily trying to pull you into the ecosystem, more so just there for people who already exist? I think with the Portal already being a thing, I think if Sony is doing this, is to bring new people into the ecosystem, right? So with that being said, I think it might have exclusive software that could bring people in. I think it might be unique, right? And it would definitely help them domestically in Japan. It would help them kind of reinvigorate their brand there, because it's been in decline for years. Their home console sales have been in decline for years there. And the market in general has really taken to these handheld devices. Obviously, the Switch is a runoff success. We have the Steam Deck. We have the ROG Ally. We have so many that have just been released, and they keep coming out. And it seems like the market really likes this accessibility and the portability of these devices. And apparently Xbox and Microsoft will be releasing one as well. So I think it would be foolish, especially with Sony already having experience in this market. I think it'd be foolish for Sony not to do it. I think they definitely will. I think 110% we will see a dedicated handheld device. I am just curious on how it's going to be handled, how software is going to be distributed, and what its primary focus is going to be. So that'll be interesting to see how it all pans out when the time is right. Now, am I still going to be excited for this? Of course. I thought the PSP is one of my favorite handhelds, and like I said, I really enjoyed the Vita. I'm just questionable on how software is going to be done on this, and if Sony's really going to support it. And I think they are, right? Because the PSVR is a good point to bring up. That is incredibly niche, and I know that it probably took Sony a ton of R&D and money to develop the PSVR and the PSVR 2. I don't even know if that's profitable for them, right? So if they're already diving into that niche market, like the handheld market has already been extremely profitable for them and has made sense for them, why not? Why would you not do that? Obviously, VR is somewhat growing, but I don't think it's going to take off crazy tremendously, right? It's still very niche or very pickup, and you've used it once and then it collects dust for the next 5 years. So these are kind of my thoughts on Sony's rumored handheld device. Would I like to see it? Yes. Am I concerned on how it's going to be handled? Yes. Would I buy it? 110%. Am I hopeful for it? Yes. Let me know what you guys think, if this is even a possibility, or if this is something that you guys don't think is going to happen in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.